Because I have the Attorney General of one of the states that led the effort against President Trump's birthright citizenship order, New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin. Thank you for being with us. Mr. Attorney General, we all know the stakes of this decision. What was going through your head in the moments leading up to it, and what is your reaction?
Well, look, notwithstanding that it's written in part to be a President Trump press release, what the court did here is essentially what we have been arguing in many respects. We've always said as states, nationwide relief should be limited. But clearly in this case, when the citizenship of babies born on U.S. soil is at issue, it shouldn't be decided state by state whether or not your attorney general had the courage to join a lawsuit. And so what the court did here is essentially say, for states, go show us that you can't get complete relief without nationwide relief, which I am very confident is a standard we will meet.
The impact of the decision, and you've pointed this out before, means that something as simple as the specific address of the hospital where your baby is born could change its citizenship. And Justice Sotomayor says that would impose an enormous burden on expecting parents and hospital staff, something that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, was asked about very specifically just moments ago, and I want to play that.
Who would be tasked with actually vetting citizenship? And how, like, would this be a situation where you have nurses and doctors checking for citizenship of parents, or?
This is all pending litigation. It's going to be decided in October by the Supreme Court, and we'll discuss that after the litigation.
If you have an undocumented baby, would that baby then be an enforcement priority?
The violent criminals in our country are the priority.
So we should note that, again, the Supreme Court has not agreed to take up a birthright citizenship case. Their argument schedule for the fall has not been announced. But help us understand the crux of your argument, because people do constantly cross state lines.
Yeah, I'd call that the deer in the headlights look from Attorney General Bondi there. I'd also note that she was a lead champion of nationwide injunctions during the entire Barack Obama administration, which she conveniently forgets now. But the reason why she has no answer is because the federal government hasn't even tried to answer this question. At the district court level, they didn't even put forth any proposals of how we could possibly administer a system of citizenship decided based on the state you live in. For the exact reasons, Chris, you just said. People born in Philadelphia move to New Jersey. Sometimes they live in New Jersey at the time of birth, might be born in a different state. Are we really going to say that somehow we're going to have to sit down and each baby say, all right, you're entitled to certain rights and privileges based on who your attorney general was at time of birth, and now you've moved to a state, and that state had an attorney general that joined the suit or didn't join the suit, so you're either a citizen or you're not, and you get education or health care? I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. She has no answer. And the fact that they put this executive order out and argued all the way up to the Supreme Court without even having given thought to how they would administer it tells you how reckless and unprecedented this administration's actions are.
You say you will continue to challenge President Trump's order. So tell us, where does the fight go from here?
Well, first and foremost, the birthright citizenship remains the law of the land. The Supreme Court said that very clear today. They are not addressing birthright citizenship, and they are, in fact, staying this for another 30 days. So, as has already happened, individual plaintiffs can file class actions, and states can go to court, as we are doing, to say we cannot obtain complete relief, meaning all of the harms imposed on us by this unlawful order can't be alleviated without nationwide relief. So I'm confident at the end of this, one of the most flagrantly unlawful orders ever issued by a president, this order will not stand. But make no mistake, the president, enabled by the Supreme Court, is engaging in an unprecedented assault on Americans' constitutional rights. And as the dissenting justices said, maybe this isn't the right you care about. Maybe you're not a birthright citizenship, but maybe you care about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and go on and on through the Constitution. They're now putting them all at issue. And we are going to stand for people's rights in this country, and it is very clear that it has never mattered more whether or not you have a state attorney general who's willing to fight for you.
Well, let me ask you about something that was just said in a statement by Chuck Schumer, who, of course, is the lead Democrat on the Senate side. He said this is a terrifying step toward authoritarianism. Is that hyperbolic in your mind?
Look, I think what Leader Schumer is recognizing is that this administration has been on a path to authoritarianism enabled by the Supreme Court for a long time. You can't look at the attacks on the judiciary, the attacks on the press, the attacks on our university, the attacks on states, the attacks on people's fundamental rights in such a brazen way and come to any other conclusion. What I am saying is that the court decidedly did not eliminate the ability for states to obtain nationwide relief. And in this case, where we are so clearly right on the merits of the case and where our harms cannot be addressed without obtaining nationwide relief, I'm confident that we're going to prevail as this case goes forward.
For the people who are waiting in the meantime, for the people who have birthright citizenship, for the expectant parents out there, what's your belief, not hope, but what is your reasonable belief that there could be some clarity on this issue?
Well, first of all, I feel for them. I can't imagine what a parent might be thinking, deciding where to give birth based on what state they live in and whether or not their attorney general had courage to join a suit or not. I think that's an unbelievably sad moment in American history, that for the first time since Dred Scott, we're even having this debate. Again, we fought a bloody civil war to settle this debate, but they should be comforted by the fact that there are a coalition of us that are going to press our case, that the Supreme Court clearly agreed that we have the right to seek nationwide relief in this case, and that if there's ever been a case where nationwide relief is appropriate, it is this one. Because citizenship in this country since the Civil War has not turned on which state you live in, and I don't think we want to go back to an America that predates the Civil War.
New Jersey Attorney General Matthew Platkin, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on the program.